join us. And I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening and for this installment of Pioneer Webinars. Today, we're going to be asking and looking at the question, are you ready to buy a home? But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Chelsea Briscoe. I am going to be your host this evening. I'm the e-learning specialist here at Pioneer Federal Credit Union. I've been Pioneer for about 6 years now. One of those has been in the branch. The other 5 have been in our learning and development department. So far, I have spent a lot of time training our internal team members, which has been awesome, but I'm so excited that I'm getting the opportunity to bring webinars external to our members in our communities. It has been super fun, and I'm just so thankful that you all are here and joining us. And I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying these and that you'll join us in the future as well. So if you guys have any questions when we're going through the session tonight, there is a specific Q&A box that you can pop open that will make sure that your questions go right in there. I do have a great guest on with us tonight named Claudine DeTorres. She is the manager of the learning and development team here at Pioneer. She also has extensive history with housing counseling and education. So she is a perfect panelist for us during the session. She's going to keep her eyes on those questions, answer any that she can. Then we'll, of course, come at the end and spend some time answering questions then as well. We also have the chat box. I want to make sure to encourage you guys to use that throughout. I'm going to ask you to chat in some answers for me. One thing I do want to say is if you guys want everyone to see your answers, there's going to be a little drop down that says to, kind of like an email. Make sure that says all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, just me and the panelists will see it, which is fine too if you're more comfortable with that. But if you do want everyone to see it, make sure you change that. All right, we're going to go ahead and jump in with all that housekeeping out of the way. So during tonight's session, we are going to help you guide to the answer, to the question, are you ready to buy a home? Now, I'm going to do a right up front warning, not a warning, but I do want to say, I need to set an expectation that I am not a mortgage expert. I don't work in our mortgage department, and I am not NMLS licensed. I'm not authorized to discuss mortgage rates or products. So you will not be hearing any of that tonight. This is not for sales. This is for education. And what you can expect from me is to give you a list of things that you can get in order before starting your home buying journey. So that's what I want to equip you with tonight. That's what you can expect. So if you're in the early stages of preparing to buy a home, we just want to help you guys have a leg up because obviously this is a crazy market and we want to provide you with any help that we can give you so you can be successful. And just know that we do offer mortgage products here at Pioneer. We have a full suite of mortgage products. So if after the webinar, you're ready to take the next step and get pre-approved, we are absolutely here for you. So I just wanted to say a couple things at the beginning. And let's talk about what we are going to be covering this evening. First, we're going to ask, is it the right time right now for you to even buy a home? Is this it? We're going to look at that. We're going to also ask, have you identified your wants versus your needs, which can be really important in this process. Additionally, how's your credit doing? We'll check in on that. And also, do you have money saved up for the costs? So let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Is now even a good time to buy a house? Yes? No? Maybe? I'm sure you all have seen how wild the market has been. And that's because mortgage rates fell to record lows in 2020, which I'm sure everyone's heard about or been part of. But of course, a strong demand for homes pushed prices up and frustrated many potential home buyers. And of course, there are opportunities to lock in affordable mortgages, but finding a home is a whole other thing. So experts do predict that interest rates will rise this year, but only slightly. They're still going to remain at very historically low levels. Home prices, meanwhile, aren't getting any cheaper. Annual home price growth is expected to increase by 4.1% by October 2021, so this year. And that's according to the real estate data from CoreLogic. So waiting too long to buy might mean getting priced out of more desirable neighborhoods. So is it a good time? Unfortunately, I don't know. You have to weigh the options, right? I don't have a crystal ball to tell you, but what I will help you with today is helping you prepare for home buying if that's the route you choose. So real quick, we're gonna do a poll. This should pop up right on your screen. So I kind of went over what we're going to be talking about, but I want to hear, just so we get enough time, maybe answer some additional questions about this. What are you excited to get more information on this evening? Is it knowing if now is the right time, learning about your wants versus your needs, more information about your credit, more information about DTI? If you watched my introduction video, you might have heard me talk about that. Saving money for home buying, resources for preparing to buy a home, or other. And if you answer other, go ahead and you can put that in the chat if you are willing to do that. Give you guys a few seconds to do that. I'm going to check in on the chat. Looks like Kendra joined us from Illinois. Thank you so much for joining us, Kendra. I know the time difference is a little bit of a hurdle, but we're so happy you're here. We love having people from all over joining us. So thank you for joining us. Okay. We're at 93% voted in. So I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go ahead and show those results. I'm also going to snip this real quick so that we can share it with our friends who weren't able to join us. Perfect. And let's go over your answers. So we have 25% of you said, is now the right time to buy a home? Unsure. Wanting to learn more about your wants versus your needs, 6%. More information about credit, more information about your DTI, good. Saving money for home buying. The winner was resources for preparing to buy a home, perfect, I got you. And other, I didn't see anyone vote what their other was. So if you want to put that in there, that's great. We can make sure to try and cover that if we're able to tonight. Okay, awesome. Thank you for participating in that. Let's go ahead and move on. So purchasing a home is a major decision that shouldn't be taken lightly, obviously. But if you're not clear on why you want to buy a house, you could end up regretting your decision. And this is just being really honest. So I want you guys to check with yourself. Could your desire to buy a home right now, could it be your fear of missing out on this market? Could it be keeping up with the Joneses? Or is it really time because maybe your family is in fact outgrowing your current home? Or have you been preparing for a while and you just feel like now is the right time to jump in? The important thing is, and what I'm asking you to do is just really sit with yourself for a moment and think about your why for home buying. So another poll for you, because we want to get you guys involved. I'm going to ask you why. So either you came to this prepared to want to buy a home, maybe you just did recently, or even just remember back to the time when you did buy your home, if you are a homeowner. What was the why behind it? Was it that you didn't want to miss out on the low rates? Was it because you wanted a better home? Do you want to live in a better area? Is your current home too small? Are you tired of renting? Or other, again, is an option. And you can pick multiple of these. Perfect. You guys are doing great voting in. We added being on my own was another one. Kim said preparing for retirement. Okay. Those are good whys. Right. I'll give you guys just a few more seconds to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Once again, I'm going to snap these answers so that our friends have them. Perfect. Okay, so we've got 7% of you guys saying you don't want to miss out on the low rates. 29% want a better home. That makes sense. 14% want to live in a better area. 43% current home is too small. And the winner with 64% is you're tired of renting. That makes sense, definitely. Homeownership has a lot of benefits also. And one of them is that you do not have to be at the will of someone else who owns the home, right? And then other, which we shared the chats from that. So you all have great reasons. Thank you so much for sharing. Go ahead and hide that. And let's move on. And there's the why again, just in case you didn't get it the first 2 times I talked about it. You need to define your why. Okay. So if you're decided you're ready, then let's start by just defining your personal and financial goals, which can include when you intend on moving. So what kind of time frame are we looking at? How much have you already saved, or how much do you think you need to save? And what do you want in a home, such as the amenities or your ideal location, like some of you had mentioned in the poll. So defining each of these goals will help you with being clear on your path and what you need to take care of before beginning that home buying journey. So a lot of it is about clarity, right? So let's look a little further into the discussion of your desires when it comes to the home itself. So these wants, needs, and won'ts are going to play a huge part in your planning. So needs are going to be your non-negotiables. Let's say you have 2 kids, you want each of them to have their own room, plus a room for you, of course. So having 3 rooms would be considered a need. Then you have your wants or your nice to haves. These are like your wish list items. So things like having an extra room that could be a playroom would be nice, but it's not a must have. And then there are your won'ts. That's the heck no zone. So if there are deal breakers, if there's anything that makes a house undesirable to you, this is what would go in this section of the list. Also, I just want to say this list should be discussed, not assumed within your family unit, between you and your partner, your spouse, even your kids. It's a good conversation to have so you guys can all be on the same page. And then once you have this list, you can start looking at what homes would match up with this list, see how much they go for, see how many are actually in inventory. We know inventory is super, super low, so you can just see how scarce maybe these options are. And this is going to help you have a better grasp on your goals and your budget for what you want and what you need in a home. So you can also give this list to your realtor, which can be really helpful as they help find homes that fit your needs. So Tiffany did share the link again for the resources because there is a list that we put on there, a list that goes through some things maybe you should consider of things you really, really want, things you might want. And then there isn't a section for your won'ts or your deal breakers. There's a section at the bottom for notes. And I would highly suggest putting in there any kind of deal breakers. So some examples you guys see on the screen here. The needs would be like a single family home. The wants would be a large yard. And the won'ts would be, no way, I'm not living in a townhome. So we're going to go ahead and have you guys chat in again. So get your chat box open. I wanted to know what are some examples of your needs? So either what you're looking for right now, what you looked for when you went for your home. I can say for me, I really wanted to be in a better school district. So I left our smaller town who did not have the greatest school district and moved to a place that had a great, and that was a need for me. It was really important for me. Let's see, Leah added a yard for my dogs, definitely. Tiffany, make sure, oh, sorry, I'm reading her. I'm reading her advice to you, which is to change your 2 to everyone if you want to see. Okay, Sasha said yard for my kids and dogs. Kim said 3-bed. Elizabeth, storage space. That's important. Oh, I'm probably gonna just butcher your name, and I'm so sorry. Rhiannon. I hope I got that. Put some explanation on how I can say that correctly, because I really don't want to butcher your name because you have really good input, which is 2 beds plus 2 bath, same neighborhood I'm currently in. Oh, so that's good. You found a neighborhood you really like. Let's see, investment, bigger yard for my dog and starting a family, says Maria. Daryl says yard for the dog, space for our grandkids to play, very important. Close. Rhiannon in. Oh, okay. I was pretty close. Thank you for explaining that. I'll try to remember. Rhiannon. Okay. Kendra said central air and lots of storage. Okay, that sounds important. Adam says a ground floor bedroom. Arthritis plus stairs do not mix well. Okay, so there's health reasons too you have to keep in mind. That's a really good point, Adam. Daryl said large space for storage. Okay, there's the storage again. Caitlin said yard, good schools, not a crazy commute. Oh my gosh, right? No one wants a crazy commute if you can get closer, right? Teresa said house not too close to others. Oh, so Teresa wants some space. Awesome. Okay, on the flip side, guys, I want to know what your deal breakers are. What are your absolute will not, cannot, won't do for a home? Adam said long commute. That's what audiobooks are for. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's true. I've missed my audiobooks because the house we moved into this last year, my commute is very short. And I used to get in a good 45 minutes to an hour of audiobook listening. Okay, Rhiannon said 1 bedroom or 1 bathroom. Oh yeah, no one wants to share a 1 bathroom. That sounds terrible. Teresa, mobile home plus lot rent. Ooh, that's a good point too. Daryl said no 2-story. Elizabeth, not having a garage. Oh yeah. Daryl, 1 bathroom, exactly 4. Oh, Leah, good point. No HOA. That's something you might need to look into as well. Melissa said small kitchen. Oh, we want a big kitchen. Again, Adam, yep, again, the no HOA. Leah said, to clarify, I don't want to be in an HOA. Yeah, I think HOA might be, because Maria also said 200 repairs and no HOA. Yep. Oh, Kendra, good point. Previously smoked in, right? If that's not the life you live, you don't want to be smelling that, for sure. Good ones, guys. You guys are very clear on your wants and your needs and your won'ts, which is very good. So again, that checklist you guys can check in on the resources page. That can also guide you through even more of these things maybe you haven't thought of. It's a very comprehensive list that can really get you thinking and get you very clear on your wants and your needs for your home. Cool. Thank you guys so much for sharing. Okay, so next, after we've talked about the wants and your needs, you're clear on what you're actually looking for, it's a good idea to go ahead and check your credit. So your credit determines whether you're eligible for a mortgage, of course, but it also really hugely influences your mortgage rate. The higher your score, the lower your rate's going to be. So most mortgage programs require a minimum credit score around 620 to 640. And again, that's just a guesstimation. It's going to change where you go for a lender, but 620, 640 ideally. And you should check your credit if you can 6 to 12 months ahead of when you're applying for a mortgage. That way you have enough time to improve, a low personal score if necessary. Also, you should definitely check your report for accuracy and take the time to dispute any errors, especially if they're negative errors, that are going to decrease your score. So make sure you're checking in on that. And you're able to access copies of your credit report for free from each of the 3 credit bureaus. So we got TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And you can easily gather all of them at once from annualcreditreport.com. Each year, you're entitled to 1 free credit report from each of the bureaus. So you can definitely take advantage of that. This is another site that's going to be on our resources page for you to access when you need it. And then as for your credit score, so I do want to make it clear, you're only going to get your credit report. So you're going to be able to see any errors and what's on your report. Now, if you want your score, though, the number itself, I would definitely suggest checking your online banking app or asking your financial institution if they can access that information for you. And as far as Pioneer, if you need any assistance reading your reports or understanding your scores, we would be happy to help you guys. We you can drop into a branch, you can go online, and we can give you a free credit checkup. And what we'll do with that is we'll give you the credit score, we'll give you the report, we'll go over any items that you can improve, give you action steps to improve, and all of that is for free for members and non-members. That is just something we offer because we know credit is really important, and especially as you're getting ready to buy a home, you are going to need to be very clear on that. So if you are also wanting more information on credit scores, next month our webinar is going to be all about credit scores. So go ahead and join us for that session. You can register today. That link is also in the resources page and will be on our webinars page on Pioneer as well. Okay, I'm hoping I saw some comments come in. Okay, awesome. Good. I accidentally answered the question. Perfect. Okay, so here again is the QR code. This will give you a link to the resources page. So if you came in a little late today, we did post it in the chat, but if you didn't get a chance, Tiffany went ahead and posted it again. If it takes you out of Zoom, just save it to your favorites on your browser, like on your phone or on your computer, and then just come back and join us for Zoom. And then we will continue on. But I do want to give you a second to do that. But on that resources page, you'll find the link to annualcreditreport.com. You'll also see the link to register for the webinar next month on the very bottom. And then if you're using the QR code, if you have an iPhone, you can actually just turn on your camera, which seems kind of interesting. You just turn on your camera app, hold it up to the QR code, and it'll pop down your link for you. If you have like an Android or something else, I believe you have to have a QR app for that. So. But again, we're also going to have the link on the follow-up. So you'll have many opportunities to get this link to the resources. You will not go without the resources, I promise. I know they're important to you, so I just want to make sure everyone's taken care of. Okay, so now that you guys have a list of your wants and needs, you have a grasp on your credit, the next factor that you should consider is your debt to income ratio. So this is a percent of your monthly gross income that goes towards your consumer debt repayment. Mortgage lenders are going to use this percentage to gauge affordability, meaning how much you can actually afford for a house. And typically lenders prefer a DTI that's no higher than 36%, up to 43%. And that is depending on the mortgage program. So Again, that can change, but that's kind of the range you can shoot for. And at this point, I do want to stop and say, this is pretty important. It's important for you to know your specific budget, like to include your living costs like gas and groceries and other expenses, because those aren't going to show on your credit report. So you're going to need to do the work and create the budget on your own. And remember that when it comes to your lender telling you what you can afford, they're only looking at part of your full financial picture that only shows those consumer debts. So it's not going to show your cost of living. So it's very important that you take the time to look at what you can actually afford, not just based on what they see in your DTI. So I just want to take a moment on my little soapbox. So sometimes if you just take what the lender says you can afford, you'll be very easily, sometimes I've seen it happen, you can be very easily overextended. You'll be set up for trouble affording all that you're responsible for, plus that new mortgage. So that's just a word of caution for you. It's not like they're trying to do anything bad. It's just they have the information they have. They're going to gauge what you can afford based on that. But just remember, you have other expenses in life that don't show up on your DTI and your credit. Okay, off the soapbox, back to DTI. By a raise of hands, how many of you know what your current DTI is right now? Excuse me while I take a drink. It's hard to talk for a long time. Okay, so about 4 of you, right? I wouldn't say that I would know mine off the top of my head right now, but I'm going to give you some tools here you can see on the screen of how you can find your DTI. So for example, on this one, let's say that you have a gross monthly income of $6,000. So this entire circle would be your $6,000. Then you take a second, add up all of your monthly debt payments. And again, these are your consumer debt payments, and say those equal $2,000. So what you're going to do is this little calculation down here. You take the debt amount divided by the income amount, and you'll get this percentage. So in this case, it came out to 0.40, which is 40%. So that means your DTI is 40%. Oh, excuse me. This is a reminder, though, showing you what the range is. So in this case, we're trying to stay between that 36 and 43%. So if this was a calculation and this included the mortgage payment, then this would be good. This is where you'd want to be. Some mortgage lenders do allow a higher DTI, but only when the borrower has compensating factors such as high credit or large cash reserve. So now if you look at your DTI and it's a little higher than what you want it to be, what you should start doing is paying off as much debt as possible before applying for the mortgage, because you need to have time to report on your credit. So this is going to include paying down your credit cards, your auto loans, any student loans you have. Just make sure not to close the accounts, because that can actually hurt your score negatively as well. So just keep that in mind. And again, you don't have to be debt free to purchase a home, but less debt can increase your purchasing power. So just something to think about. Okay, now let's talk cash, because that's our next thing, right? So we've done our wants and our needs, we've done our credit, we've done our DTI. Now let's talk about cash and savings. So today, many mortgage programs require a down payment, and this amount ranges from a minimum of 3.5% or 3% to 5% for a conventional loan, and then a minimum of 3.5% for an FHA loan. As a side note, a down payment isn't required with a VA loan or a USDA loan. But when it comes time to speak to your lender, you guys can decide which mortgage program is going to be right for you. So sometimes you can't gauge all this ahead of time. You need to see what is available to you and your current financial standing, or like a VA loan with the military. So it's best, though, to be prepared to have money saved as you go into this venture so you don't get caught off guard. And worst case scenario, you use that savings for furniture, right? Okay. So if you pay $200,000 for a house, you will need at least $6,000 to $10,000 as a down payment. So again, that's that percentage we just talked about, being the 3 to 5 or the 3.5. Keep in mind too, if you purchase with less than 20% down payment, you'll likely have to pay mortgage insurance. So that insurance, just in case no one knows, that protects the lender in the event of you defaulting on the loan. So they will require that if you don't put as much down. Sorry, I was also watching the chat to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Looks like Tiffany and Claudine are taking good care of our questions. Awesome. So what other funds do you need to consider saving? Well, you're also responsible for closing costs. Sometimes when you are negotiating with a buyer and a seller, you can sometimes change who's paying for that. But in this market, if you're a buyer, you're probably going to end up asking to pay for their closing costs as well. So just something to think about. That's going to be roughly between 2% and 5% of the loan. So when applying for a mortgage loan, your lender is going to ask for copies of your bank statements to confirm that you have sufficient funds for your down payment and your closing cost. If you don't have enough cash, some mortgage companies will allow borrowers to use gift funds to cover all or a percentage of that mortgage related expense. But what I want to point out now is that there are also multiple down payment assistance programs. They're called DPAs in every state. Right now you're seeing Idaho's on the screen, and these offer grants or loans to qualified home buyers who need help with their down payments. So if you need a little extra help with the out-of-pocket costs, a DPA is definitely worth looking into. Just take some time and Google your options for your state, put down payment assistance, Idaho, down payment assistance, Illinois, wherever you are. And just know that you have some options, but remember most of these options I mentioned are based on income level. So that's gonna be something that gets factored into. So again, I don't know that I need to say this, but I do want to, is obviously this webinar is not gonna be a one size fits all because there's so many factors that go into it. But what I do wanna make clear is that I'm giving you specific things to think about based on where you're at. So you take what you need to take from this buffet, if you will. But have the resources and have the knowledge so you can at least feel a little more prepared for your journey in home buying. Okay, one more time with the QR code and a drink of water for me. Excuse me. And I think if you scroll up, you can find the link for the resources again, because now we're going to talk about mortgage calculators, which are another really great tool to help you get one step closer before you take the leap. So I would say before meeting with a mortgage lender, use an online mortgage calculator to estimate affordability. Once you know what you are likely to afford, you can then estimate how much you need to save for your down payment and your closing costs, like we just talked about. For example, here on the screen, you'll see that the calculator says that you likely can afford $250,000, as if you can find a home for that price. But we're just be in la la land with me for a second. Let's not be in crazy mortgage land. Let's just for a second remember the good times where we could find a house for that price. Okay, so you're going to aim to save for about 5% for down payment for conventional loans, so about $12,500. And then let's say you're saving another 3% of that amount is going to be your closing costs, so about $7,500. So who can do fast math for me in the chat and tell me how much you need to save? How much would you need to save with this calculation? There we go. Leah's on it. Yep. The correct answer is $20,000, right? And that's why we really want to have this conversation before you guys start this process, because if you can start saving now, and I know that's a really big number to look at, but if you can just get started, get something going, it's going to make everything so much easier for you. You'll have more buying power, as we mentioned before, and you'll be more prepared. So I want to show you guys that. Additionally, mortgage calculators do vary. So some estimate your monthly payment based on your home price, the down payment amount and interest rate, your loan term, and other monthly mortgage expenses like your homeowner's insurance and property taxes. Other calculators, however, you may find will estimate affordability using information you provide about your income and about your current debt payments. So here's one example of a mortgage calculator that you can actually access right on Pioneer's website. There's a drop down above this too, so you can select which calculation you want to do. And so that link will also be in the resources page. But I did want to say, don't forget that you can obtain estimates without having to actually apply for a mortgage loan. So here's a tip. You can actually go and have a polite conversation with 3 lenders on the same day, because we want to make sure that your credit being pulled isn't affected. Just do it all on the same day, and provide them some basic information about your income, the price range of the potential home, debts, and approximate credit score. And you can actually get an estimate without even having to apply for that loan formally. So this method also allows you to determine who will be your lender once it comes time for you to get ready to be pre-approved. So take the time to shop around without actually applying. Just ask them for an estimate and see what you can find out. especially from 3. That way you can compare and really get a good idea of what you can afford and what you're likely to pay. Good job, everybody. People are doing lots of comments. One more time with the resources link and the QR code and a drink for me. I don't know if you've ever tried talking for 30 minutes straight, but it's a good time. You can hear my voice already reacting, right? As if I'm some singer or something. I have to like heal my voice. Okay, so one last resource that I want to share with you is our partner GreenPath. Singing the praises of GreenPath. These guys are amazing. They offer pre-purchase counseling free to our members. So you can dive in deeper with everything we've discussed today, plus more with their trained specialist. And they'll work specifically with you so that you can gain even more clarity before buying a home. And I would say if you came here wanting to get ready to buy a home, I believe that once you go through those first steps, or even, you know what, just go straight to GreenPath, because they are going to take such good care of you. They're such a great partner that we trust with our members in our communities. And like I mentioned, the pre-purchase counseling is free to our members, but it is still affordable to everyone in case you're not a Pioneer member. And a link to their counseling is available on the resources page. It's just called GreenPath. Definitely look into that and get some more information. They are awesome, and they're a nonprofit, so they're literally just there to help people, which we love, and we love partnering with them. So, okay, we've reached the end. It's time to review and wrap up. Okay, so with everything we've talked about today, I want to leave you with some actions that you can start taking to get ready to start buying your home. So first, we're going to go through everything we talked about today, put it all on a nice list. This is available on the resources page, so you can have this and check it off as you go. So first, you're going to make a list of your wants and your needs for your home that you would like. Then you're going to check your credit score and your report. Remember, we can help you with that if you need it. Then you're going to calculate your DTI and adjust as needed if you need to lower that DTI. Of course, also, I wanted to say the DTI, it can be really low and it would be even better. The lower, the better on a DTI. Next, you're going to utilize a mortgage calculator to find the information that you need. And then lastly, again, you can move this one to the top if you want. Reach out to GreenPath or to Pioneer. We're happy to help however we can. And if you're ready, we can also help get you pre-approved as well with our mortgage department. All right, last look at the resources page. I know I've showed this a few times because I really want to make sure you guys have access to all this. And now I'd like to bring Claudine on. I don't see any questions in our Q&A area, but I did see some chats going through. So again, Claudine is our learning and development manager. She has extensive history in housing, counseling, and education. So if you have any questions that don't refer to rates or to the specific lending process, we can start working through those now. You can put them in the Q&A box. I'm going to see if Claudine can unmute herself and see if we can hear her.
I did.
Yay, it worked. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone.
So I don't see any questions right now, but I saw you going back and forth in the chat a little bit. Did anyone bring up a good question you'd like to discuss?
Well, there's some great questions about would I be able to use a mortgage calculator without giving away all my information, only to receive spam text messages and calls because perhaps realtors or other lenders are using that as a source for marketing purposes. I like our mortgage calculator, and we don't do that. Now, it's not going to be an exact science unless you know the home in question, you know exactly the price you think you'll get to pay for it if you win the bidding war, you know the taxes annually, you know what it would cost to insure it, and based on a lot of other factors, you know exactly what, if any, private mortgage insurance you'd have to pay. But it will give you a really good feel for how a payment would map out based on the purchase price and those other factors I mentioned. Then it would tell you for a home of $250,000 with the following down payment, with the approximate taxes of fill in the blank and the approximate housing insurance, and that means the protection, the hazard insurance, your payment, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, will be approximately this based on the best rate available for your credit score. If you don't know your credit score, you can estimate. And there are as many mortgage calculators out there as there are mortgage lenders. So find one that isn't too nosy, that doesn't ask you to provide your personal information, including your contact data, and play around with the numbers, then see if you like living with that number for that house price. This is why it's so important to have your budget so that you know, hey, our rent right now is $1,500. The proposed payment will be around $1,700. Where's the $2 extra $100 coming from? And if you think you can live like that, then pile that $200 away every month and live as if you have that mortgage to see if you're comfortable.
Good advice. Hope everyone heard that loud and clear, because that's a really good point. I did just want to show, this is a snip from our mortgage calculator on our website. And you can see it isn't asking a lot of personal information. So as you mentioned, Claudine, I think our mortgage calculators are a really great resource that I would suggest to all of you guys. And Claudine, I see you're typing an answer to Kim's question.
Yes, I am.
Did you want to?
And the question is a VA loan better than the other types? For some who qualify for the VA loan, it can be, because closing costs will likely be lower than a traditional, what we call convention loan, and you can get in with zero down. The best way to work through that is get the quotes from 3 different lenders, as Chelsea was recommending, without applying for a loan. Then when you've picked your lender of choice, work with them to see, based on your scenario, your down payment, the type of home you're buying, what is the best loan program for you? And a good mortgage lender will try to fit you into what works for you, not what they're trying to sell you. So there's no yes or no, black or white answer on this. There's a lot of factors a mortgage lender will consider before recommending 1, 2, or 3 different loan options for you based on your logistics.
Good, great answer. Thank you. We do have 5 more minutes in case anyone else has questions that maybe you wanted more clarity on, or that you wanted to get answered that maybe wasn't covered here. I'll make sure everyone gets a chance to get what they need from this session today. While we're waiting for some of those to come in, I am just going to say that when we end this presentation, you guys will see a feedback form pop up on your computer or your phone. And just quick questions for you. If you could please answer those to give us feedback on this session today, we would appreciate that. Also, if you submit that, thank you, Kim. If you submit that feedback form, you will be entered into a drawing for a $25 gift card. That's an e-gift card, so we'll send you that. You can pick from the Hallmark gift card mall online what you would like to have that gift card for. So I just want to plug that. I did see a question come in, Claudine, that said, based on current housing in Idaho, do you have any recommendations for those who try and get a mortgage but get beat out by those who pay cash? That's a great question.
And I'm going to go ahead and verbalize my response. I would love to tell you, yes, follow these 4 or 5 steps. The bottom line is it's in the seller's hands. It's what we call a seller's market. And what entices them with a cash offer is they often can quickly close on that loan, that home, and move on to their next purchase or whatever they are doing with the sale of their home. When a mortgage is involved, it takes longer to close. It's a very active process right now. Lots of people trying to get mortgages and finish through the end process. That means at least 60 days, sometimes more. And they run the risk of being, working with a buyer who's pre-approved, but then the deal falls apart because the loan won't come together. So most sellers are going to want cash. I think my message to any of you out there looking is keep trying, keep saving. The answer to the first question that Chelsea posed may not be yes, it may be no. Right now is not a good time for me to buy. But keep in mind, it may be no, not right now. Meanwhile, keep trying, keep going at it. I don't have magic pixie dust to make it easier. As a home buyer 2.5 years ago, I went through the same thing. We made over 15 offers before we found one that was willing to deal with us as buyers with a mortgage, but it did take place. So just keep trying. Sometimes talk to your realtor about giving a letter of submission with your sales offer, giving a good story behind why you're the right buyer. And in some cases, sellers, that'll be enough to move them, because selling a home is an emotional process, so is buying. So sometimes you can kind of pull at their heartstrings and that may help.
Great advice. We had Caitlin ask in the chat, how long does it take to get pre-approved? A few days, question mark?
Depends on the lender and the time that it takes to get the necessary information and how quickly you provide the documentation. Right now, again, it's getting into a very busy season as spring and summer is about to become reality. I can't speak to it as an active practitioner daily. It could happen within a day or two. It could take a week. It really depends on your circumstances, the documentation you bring to the table, and any questions the lender may have. So they can pre-approve you pretty quickly, but the final application has to be gone through. And that closing process, including all, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, may take as many as 60 days.
And I did want to share really quick our mortgage center from Pioneer's website.
Thank you.
Can you see it, Claudine?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what she was speaking about too is being prepared. If you're getting ready to actually do your application, get pre-approved, first we have an online application at Pioneer, so you can start that process whenever you're ready, even if it's 9 p.m. at night. And then also we have a list here of items that are needed for a mortgage application, so you can get those all organized as well. So if that's something that you are wanting to move forward with Pioneer, we can definitely give you these resources. And this is the first link on the resources page. And there's even more additional information, resource center here as well. So there's a lot more information on our website for if you're ready to start moving forward with this process for getting pre-approved. So I definitely want to point to that, as well as an eye on the rates over here, which will change daily potentially. So you can keep an eye on those as well. All right, we've reached 7:45. I don't see any other questions coming in. So at this point, I would like to just say thank you guys so much for joining us. It is such a pleasure to be able to get together and have this time with our members and our communities to share this information. If you guys need any additional information, again, we have a great mortgage team. You can reach out to them specifically. If you have any questions about what you saw this evening, you can reach out to me. My email is available in all of the emails that you got from us. And remember to fill out the feedback form. And I just want to say thank you all so very much and have a wonderful night.